What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and beautiful people of the Crasher community? How are you guys doing today? We're back with a new video on the channel. Thank you very much for tuning on in, you absolute legends. And ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we have ourselves something pretty damn big to talk about revolving around TikTok. We have CBS News with an article that is titled, "A bill that could lead to a TikTok ban is gaining momentum in Congress. Here's what to know." Now, just to forewarn you guys, this is a rather lengthy article, so I do want to apologize in advance, but there is a fair amount of context to go through, so without further ado, let's waste no more time and let's begin with this. Washington. A renewed push targeting TikTok is gaining momentum on Capitol Hill, where several previous efforts to ban the widely popular video sharing app over concerns about its parent company's ties to China have stalled in the past. Owned by the China-based company ByteDance, TikTok is one of the most widely used apps in the US, with more than 150 monthly users. Its meteoric rise over the past several years has been accompanied by warnings from national security officials and lawmakers that China's communist government could gain access to its vast trove of data and use that information to spy on Americans. And that right there has sort of been one of the biggest pillars when it comes to the issues and pushbacks against TikTok, is the fact that it's nothing more than glorified Chinese spyware, which, is never a good thing. While previous proposals to ban the app have largely stalled or run into legal issues, the latest push seems to be gaining steam among lawmakers and in the White House. Here's what to know about the new legislation. What is the new TikTok bill, and what would it do? The 12-page bill, known as the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act, aims to protect the national security of the United States from the threat posed by foreign adversary-controlled applications like TikTok. And I mean, if I'm gonna be honest here, there's nothing wrong with protecting your country from being spied upon by outside parties. And that right there is just one out of many other issues that people have with TikTok, which I will be getting into a little bit later on in this video. But for now, let's carry on with the article. If passed and signed into law, it would make it illegal to distribute apps developed by ByteDance, its subsidiaries, and other firms controlled by a foreign adversary unless the company offloads the app within 180 days. In effect, the bill would give ByteDance a choice: either sell TikTok before the 6-month deadline, or retain control and be banned from US app stores and web hosting services. Rep. Mike Gallagher, a Wisconsin Republican who leads the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, said Wednesday that the new bill would alleviate national security concerns while protecting Americans' free speech rights. If you value your personal freedom and privacy online, if you care about Americans' national security at home, and yes, even if you want TikTok to stick around in the United States, this bill offers the only real step toward each of those goals, said Gallagher, who introduced the bill with Illinois Rep. Raja. I am so sorry, I can't pronounce that name. I'm just gonna say Raja for short, so my apologies for that. The top Democrat on the China committee. Gallagher said it provides the only path for the app to continue its operations in the United States without threatening Americans' online freedom, privacy, and security. Rep. Kathy McMorris Rogers, who leads the Energy and Commerce Committee, said during Thursday's markup that the bill does not give the current or future administrations a blank check to ban whatever apps they want. Okay, so from my interpretation on that last line right there, it seems like that this may not create a slippery slope like some people, including myself at first, had speculated on, because I had thought that perhaps maybe with the banning of TikTok, this right here might create a bad precedent, a bad slippery slope, if you will, where any other app that could be deemed as, opposition of some kind or create some sort of discourse of some kind would be the next on the legal butcher block. But it seems like that, from my interpretation here, that is not exactly the case. It's more or less exclusive to TikTok only. Let's hope I got that right. Holy moly, I would be eating a ton of crow if I got that wrong. The threat to national security must be well documented. The public must be notified and the information must be presented to Congress, at which point the president may make a determination that a foreign adversary-controlled application must be divested or face prohibition in the United States, the Washington Republican said. This prohibition can only be applied to applications controlled by a foreign adversary. Okay, so I guess that further cements my earlier interpretation, so alright, let's carry on. Why does Congress want to ban TikTok? Lawmakers from both parties have repeatedly expressed concerns that TikTok could be forced to hand over the data it collects on millions of American users to the Chinese government, which could in turn use it for espionage purposes. They have also warned that the app could be used to spread propaganda and misinformation. And that right there is a nugget on top of the pile of concerns that people have regarding TikTok would be muddying the waters with misinformation and propaganda. America's foremost adversary has no business controlling a dominant media platform in the United States. TikTok's time in the United States is over unless it ends its relationship with CCP-controlled ByteDance, Gallagher said in a statement announcing the legislation, referring to the Chinese Communist Party. TikTok has denied that it shares information with the Chinese government, though its CEO acknowledged to Congress last year that TikTok has collected location data on US users in the past, and said some historical data was still stored in servers that could be accessed by engineers from ByteDance. U.S. officials have said that Chinese law requires the company, which is based in Beijing, to make the app's data available to the CCP. Okay, so I find something a little bit interesting at work here in the last paragraph we just read. They have denied the fact that they share information with the Chinese government, although they acknowledge in the same breath that they do in fact collect user data and store it in servers. So I mean, that kind of cancels each other out, don't you think? And it's not just stored, but it's easily accessible too, so just bear that in mind. Then President Donald Trump signed an executive order in 2020 that would have blocked the app in the US. ByteDance reached an agreement with Oracle and Walmart to form a US-based company to evade the ban. But those plans and Trump's order were put on hold during an ensuing legal battle. Shortly after President Biden took office in 2021, he revoked Trump's executive order so his administration could conduct its own security review. The renewed push by lawmakers to force ByteDance to sell has attracted a range of co-sponsors across the political spectrum. GOP Rep. Elise Stefanik of New York, the chair of the House Republican Conference, said that the app is communist Chinese malware that is poisoning the minds of our next generation and giving the CCP unfettered access to troves of American data. And that point right there, ladies and gentlemen, is also another point of contention when it comes to the whole debate surrounding TikTok, is the fact that it is essentially like a poison to the minds of the next generation. And based on how things are in 2024, I happen to agree with that. And without going too much into it here, TikTok does have a history of trends that revolve around dangerous, if not actually illegal things to take place. You know, you have trends that revolve around Grand Theft Auto with vehicles. You have trends that revolve around putting your own life in jeopardy, such as with the Blackout Challenge, and I'm sure there's other challenges out there that don't quite come to mind at this point in time, but there have been things that I've actually covered here on the channel revolving around dangerous TikTok trends, and the fact that this right here was brought up is definitely something that definitely needs to, well, be put in the forefront regarding the discussion revolving around TikTok. It is poisonous for a lot of young, impressionable minds out there. That's just pure fact. Democratic Rep. Seth Moulton of Massachusetts said that ensuring that foreign adversaries do not have the ability to control what we see and hear online is an important piece of what should be a bipartisan effort to make social media safer for all Americans. Now, it should go without saying, online activities are not always going to be 100% safe, and that is where parental discretion, especially for younger individuals that access online, should definitely be factored in as well. Parents out there should monitor what their kids are doing online. Now, if you're old enough to access online without supervision, then obviously exercise caution and common sense. Is TikTok going to be banned? It's too soon to say. The bill would still need to pass both the House and the Senate and be signed into law by the president. If it does become law, ByteDance would have 6 months to sell before any ban would take effect. Lawmakers who support the legislation says they don't consider it to be a ban on TikTok since it could continue to operate in the US if ByteDance divests. Krishnamurthy, hope I said that right, my god, I am so sorry if I butchered that by the way, said the bill presents a choice for ByteDance. We implore ByteDance to sell TikTok, he said at the news conference unveiling the bill. The White House shared a similar sentiment on Wednesday. Administration officials gave lawmakers technical help to craft the bill. We don't see this as banning these apps. That's not what this is. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, hope I'm saying that right as well, told reporters, saying the bill would ensure ownership isn't in the hands of those who may do us harm or harm. This is about our national security, obviously. Jean-Pierre also suggested the legislation may not yet stand up to legal scrutiny, but that the president is open to eventually supporting it. Once it gets to a place where we think it's on legal standing and it's in a place where it can get out of Congress, then the president would sign it, but we need to continue to work on it, she said. The app is already prohibited on federal government devices. In 2022, Congress banned the app from being downloaded on government devices. The US military prohibited it years earlier. So there's already like pseudo bans in play in some regard because it's prohibited on official government devices as well as in the US military. Dozens of states have also banned the platform on government issued devices, leading a number of public universities to restrict access to TikTok on campus to comply with those laws. Montana became the first state to pass an outright ban in May, but a federal judge temporarily blocked the law from taking effect in January, saying it was unconstitutional. And this is the point here where we get into the scenario of stuck between a rock and a hard place. The rock, of course, being the constitutional rights of everyone, and the hard place being the facts presented against TikTok. Like, if you're gonna ban TikTok, which is essentially nothing more than glorified Chinese spyware that's poisoning the minds of individuals, as well as allowing them access to American data, you're going against the constitution of those individuals. But at the same time, if you are focusing on the constitution of those individuals, then you allow for Chinese spyware to continue to run rampant in America. So either way, whatever the choice is going to be, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. What is TikTok saying about the bill? A spokesperson for TikTok equated it to a total ban, saying it would strip 170 million Americans of their constitutional right to free expression and damage millions of businesses, deny artists an audience, and destroy the livelihoods of countless creators across the country. And that right there, in all fairness, is a really valid point and concern to bring up, because despite all of the bullshit that has taken place regarding TikTok, there are a lot of good, wholesome creators out there that are trying to make an honest livelihood off of their TikTok content that doesn't revolve around being a degenerate piece of shit, but unfortunately, they're going to get negatively impacted. So I'm hoping that perhaps maybe there will be an alternative for these artists to be able to have the freedom of creation, freedom of expression elsewhere, say maybe YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or something like that. TikTok sent an alert to users urging them to contact their lawmakers to tell them to vote against the bill. The app asked users for their zip code to look up their representatives' phone numbers and prompt them to call. Stop a TikTok shutdown, the notice said. Speak up now before your government strips 170 million Americans of their constitutional right to free expression. This will damage millions of businesses, destroy the livelihoods of countless creators across the country, and deny artists an audience. Gallagher told reporters Thursday that members' offices were getting a lot of calls with their phones ringing off the hook. Gallagher and Krish said in a joint statement that the alert misrepresents the bill as a ban on TikTok in a blatant pressure campaign to intimidate members, adding that many users of TikTok today are reporting that they are being required to call their members of Congress before accessing the app. Now hold on a second, let's go back to an earlier portion here of this article, such as with this statement right here, where it says, and I quote, Gallagher said it provides the only path for the app to continue its operations in the United States without threatening Americans' online freedom, privacy, and security. And to go a bit further here, this right here, this bill offers the only real step towards each of those goals, said Gallagher. So, while this bill, if it was to pass, yeah, like, it would still allow for TikTok to be functional to some capacity. I mean, yes, there would be changes, but TikTok wouldn't just be outright banned, okay? It's not as black and white as some people would, assume for this to be. Like, there's some nuance to it. There's some gray area to it. And to go a little bit further here, saying the bill would ensure ownership isn't in the hands of those who may do us harm or harm. This is about our national security, obviously. So it's not so much about just straight up throwing TikTok into the garbage. It's about having ownership in the hands of something or someone non-nefarious, someone that isn't going to present the United States of America with a security threat. But anyways, let's carry on here. A TikTok spokesperson said that was 100% categorically false. Hannah Kelly, a research associate at the Center for a New American Security, a Washington think tank, said the argument about whether or not the bill constitutes a ban can go both ways. The reality is that there is an underlying ultimatum, she said. You can choose to divest or not divest, but there's going to be something that snaps into place based on your decision. What happens next? The House Energy and Commerce Committee quickly and unanimously advanced the bill on Thursday afternoon. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, a Louisiana Republican, said the House will vote on the bill next week. It also has the backing of, and I think that right there is probably an incomplete sentence in this article, but let's skip it. It's unclear if it has enough support right now to pass the full House, but Speaker Mike Johnson, a Louisiana Republican, says it has his backing. If it does, it would then head to the Senate, a bipartisan bill known as the Restrict Act that would have given the Biden administration power to ban the app stalled last year in the upper chamber. Gallagher said he hopes to vote as quickly as possible and said he supports whatever the most expeditious path to the floor is. The Wisconsin Republican added that he has heard a lot of eagerness to introduce a companion piece of legislation in the Senate and said he hopes senators will act swiftly. The bill would likely face a legal challenge from ByteDance, which sued the Trump administration over its attempt to ban TikTok in 2020. Kelly said she wouldn't be surprised if this bill ran into many of the same obstacles as the Restrict Act, which would have given the Commerce Department authority to ban or restrict technology coming from US adversaries, including China. Critics questioned whether the bill, which did not target TikTok specifically, would threaten freedom of speech or expand government surveillance. But Kelly said the current legislation also has the potential to progress further than the Restrict Act because it's a little more surgical. It's a little more targeted towards TikTok, she said. It still leaves the door open for giving the president the authority to make these designations around other companies that are tied to other foreign governments. But right now, the intent is to really go after the ByteDance TikTok dynamic and make some headway there. Woo! That right there was a lot to get through, but some definite points to take away from this article goes as follows. So this right here isn't an outright TikTok ban type of thing that is going down. It's not that black and white. There's obviously some gray area, there's some nuance to it, such as the fact that they would want for TikTok to be out of the hands of foreign adversaries and within their control, which, in my opinion, is completely fair. And that right there would be a way to actually save TikTok from going down under. Like, if TikTok was sold from ByteDance and went into the hands of an American-based company, then TikTok wouldn't be banned. It wouldn't be thrown out. I mean, it would be now a US property type of platform, which means that people that are really passionate about TikTok would still be able to have their cake and eat it too. But one of the biggest reasons why TikTok is such a contentious point right now is that it's in the hands of China, and it's basically proven that it's nothing more than glorified Chinese spyware that collects American data for Lord knows what. And also, to reiterate, this bill right here does not mean that it's suddenly going to be open season for any other social media platform to suddenly be on the legal butcher block, because they say, and I quote, "This bill does not give the current or future administrations a blank check to ban whatever apps they want." This right here specifically pertains to TikTok and TikTok only. So while I do understand the concerns when it comes to this subject right here, I think at the end of the day, we need to let things play out more and more in order for there to be more context on the table to give us more clues as to what's really going on here, because right now it's still way too early to decide if whether or not TikTok is going to outright be banned. And it's not like ByteDance doesn't have a choice. They very much have a choice. They either relinquish the rights of TikTok, i.e. sell it, or they maintain their control and risk being banned after 180 days after the bill passes. It's not about straight up getting rid of TikTok, it's about preserving national security, and if they can do so by having ByteDance relinquish TikTok to, say, an American company, well, here's the thing is that TikTok won't be gone. People will still be able to use TikTok, and America will also have their national security no longer to worry about, at least as far as that goes. But it's already pretty telling that there are prohibitions as is when it comes to TikTok in America, such as it being banned from federally owned devices, as well as the US military having TikTok banned. So that right there are also a couple of facts to keep in the back of your mind. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, these right here are just my own thoughts and analysis on the subject. What do you guys think about this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you guys happen to have any interesting takes or perspectives that maybe I didn't think of that should have been added here in this video? Whatever your thoughts and opinions happen to be, I'd love to hear you guys out in the comments down below. And that's it for the video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for your time as well in viewing this video. Have yourself a damn good one, you beautiful people. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll see you guys next time.